Your money's been telling stories about you. It seems like maybe you don't have a very good relationship with your money. We get the idea perhaps that this may be a challenging relationship for you. And so, really, it's none of my business. I don't want to overstep any boundaries here. You're really the only person who knows your side of the story. Maybe your money, your relationship with money is just not the primary thing in your life. And that's fine. That's, I don't necessarily think it needs to be. That's completely up to you. It's none of my business. But I could share something with you if you're interested. If you want to watch a little further here, we'll share with you one question. It's a two-part question that really helps to clarify, because, let me explain this one thing here. Underneath our actions, are motivations that are often misunderstood. There's a self behind the self. The self that you only really know by what you do. Have you ever met a friend or talked to a friend and they tell a story about, a relationship they're in? And then you meet the other person, you're like, hold on, that's not the person I thought it was, and you're not sure who to believe. I listen to people tell stories about themselves. They say things that are important to them. For me, they outline goals that they have sometimes. And I listen to that and I go, A, I don't know if you're actually motivated to do that, or, B, what are you actually going to do? And so that's the question. It's what could you do that you would do? When I ask myself that question, and I encourage you to do that, ask yourself that question. What could I do that I would do? Because on one level, we have these beliefs, these identity beliefs about what's important to us and what we're capable of doing. When those things come together, if it's important to me and I'm capable of doing it, then I should do it, right? Well, why don't people manage their money better? I understand. Actually, my experience has been that there are some key tips and tricks that people don't yet understand. There's some concepts that they overlook. Often their focus is far too narrow. They're looking at basically budgeting week per week, and they're trying to figure out, or paycheck per paycheck actually, and they're trying to figure out which things they should cut out of their spending habits. And so it's a very restrictive thing, which doesn't feel very good. And their focus is way too narrow over a short period of time. They usually just judge or evaluate how they've done in those periods of time and then makes decisions based on those judgments. This is all wrong. First of all, we need to be observing, just noticing, recognizing what actually is over a longer period of time. So what could you do that you would do? When you ask yourself that question, what could I do that I would do, helps me, helps anybody to get clear about what the next steps ought to be. And if I continue to do that, then I also begin to understand what's actually important to me. In order to set a goal that you can then look back on and say, did I do it or not? And maybe why, if you didn't do it. In order to do that well, ask yourself this question. What could I do that I would do? What about 6 months from now, 12 months from now? What could I do that I would do? I think most of the time we can throw most of our budgeting ideas out the damn window if we just think about the larger frame. It starts with the question, what can I do that I would do? And then my money starts telling a better story about me. A truer story, a more consistent story. Because my integrity ultimately is immeasurable. But, my actions tell a story, maybe even more so than my belief statements or my value statements. When I talk about what's important to me, when I tell people who I am, I really tell them with my actions. What can I do that I would do? That's the question to ask yourself. What could you do that you would do? Let me know what you think. Add comments. I'd love to hear some specific comments about this. What can you do that you would do? What are you ready to try to do? What are you ready to commit to? What I like about this frame, though, what can I do that I would do? That's a little softer than saying commitment, because a lot of times we're testing things out. We don't really know yet. And so instead of about being some goal that might have some belief statement or some identity level statement about yourself, some story, instead I'm really focusing on the action and trying to be honest with myself. As you ask this question more, as I have practiced this over time now, I learned to actually feel into the body sensations that resonate with the statement. So I ask myself the question and I imagine some things. Sometimes I make some words in my head, some statements come to mind. I picture some things, I visualize some stuff, I dream some stuff. All the stuff happens. I think and feel, and I know when it's in alignment. I get better at noticing when it's in alignment, when it resonates. Because this question leads me, helps me to do those experiments that are necessary so that my actions tell a story, so that my money tells a story. Please like and subscribe, share with a friend. That really helps the channel out. And it might help other people out. Perhaps you know a misfit. You know a rebel who doesn't like all that BS, hustle culture. You know what I'm talking about. All that personal finance stuff is annoying. So much of it sucks. Some of it's flat out wrong. And a lot of times they just take the wrong attitude. And so somebody needs to hear this. Maybe you needed to hear this today. Please like, please subscribe, please share.